have to give you my card before I forget. Are we ready? Ready as we'll ever be? Okay. I'm going to go get started. I don't expect that we'll last the hour and 15, but I have no idea. I'm David Bain with Pioneer High School, Yolo County ROP. Some of you I know, some of you I met yesterday, some of you I've never met before today. And I've got all sorts of stuff from SkillsUSA to try and sell this to you, because that's what Richard told me to do. And he signed me up for this and then said, by the way, you're doing this. And that's okay. Richard's good at that. And I'll do what he tells me to do, because I'm good at that. SkillsUSA is a career and technical student organization. Actually, how many of you don't know what it is? Okay, then I guess I will start at the beginning. Career and technical student organizations, CTSOs, are there's 15 nationally, there's 6 in California. They're student leadership organizations. And the idea is that in addition to knowing what the stuff they need to know from us, they also have to be able to get a job. It's co-curricular, so unlike football, which is extracurricular outside the classroom, this goes right along with what you're probably already doing. And I know for me, most of it was stuff I was either already doing or I was in trouble with my ROP director because I wasn't already doing it. And now I'm not in trouble with her because I do it. So, and then the ROPs go away, but never mind that part. So really, that's SkillsUSA. It is a leadership organization, but most start simply with the contests. And we'll talk about the contests as we go on. Let's see. I forgot I put that. Tim Lawrence is our national director, and I'm going to try and see if this will work, because I haven't ever tried this on these machines. This is a note from him, and if you go online, well, if you go online, you can download my PowerPoint, and I put this on YouTube, so you've got the link there. But let's see if this works. I've never tried it in these rooms. It's a video note from him. And, of course, it doesn't work.
So much I love you do. But you're more than a teacher. As an advisor, you're a role model, a mentor, and a friend to your students. You are their champion. As their champion, make sure in your chapter activities that your role is to advise, that your students are managing the chapter and actually carrying out the work of your daily chapter activities. The 5 basic steps that your students must carry out inside the classroom to have a quality chapter are basically these. Allow elections to be held in your classroom to determine who is class president, vice president, and so on. Make sure the officers are trained in basic leadership skills. Let students practice public speaking during the chapter meetings. Teach employability skills.
Okay, have fun.
Make sure that there are chapter meetings held, and inside those meetings, develop and conduct a program of work and a calendar of events, and physically allow your teams to organize within your classroom to carry out those activities. Involve as many students as possible, actually your entire class. Therefore, every student is involved in the chapter, and a quality process begins that allows you to be a champion and the program to stand up as a championship program inside SkillsUSA. There are many resources available to you as an advisor. Make sure you visit SkillsUSA.org, where you'll find, for example, our Chapter Standards program, free to every advisor, to help measure your student success and their leadership skills throughout the school year. Also there, you'll find activities to help develop your program. There are downloadable PowerPoint presentations for the instructor. There are downloadable employability skills materials and lesson plans. So I urge you to visit there. And also, do not ever hesitate to contact your national office for advice, for assistance, or for materials. Thanks so much for all you do as a champion for your students, for your communities, and for SkillsUSA.
Okay. Did I get out of it that way? Yeah. Tim Lawrence has been national director for as long as I've been with the organization, which is 8 years now. Bob Shaner roped me into it, so just to blame him for this. And there's your contact information for the national office. They're pretty responsive. Well, usually they're pretty responsive unless it's me. And actually that came up in state conference. SkillsUSA was founded as VICA, and you may remember VICA, the Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. And VICA was founded in 1965 because FFA realized that there was all sorts of great stuff going on, but there was no leadership development within anyone who was industrial and vocational but wasn't agriculture. And so I like to tell people that it's everything FFA is minus agriculture. So you don't have to deal with the animals, but in a lot of respects it's the same type of organization. I'm not going to take the time to show this. It's about a 10-minute video from a student perspective. And actually, I use this to help recruit students to go to competitions. Again, you've got the URL at the bottom. I like it because it's simple, and it's, you know, the theme song is catchy in the same way that the what ride is that at Disneyland? Small World ride is catchy. It never leaves your head, and I've got it echoing around in there. So I'm going to move on beyond that. These are my students this year at our state conference. And one of the things I really want to point out is that I'm a big proponent of the 3 R's, rigor, relevance, relationships. I don't know what I can never remember the current now jargon that says that same thing. This is the R. This is that 3rd R, the relationship with the kids that makes them trust you, that makes them do better in your class and want to be in the class. Things like SkillsUSA really do that. The kid at the top wanted to go to state conference so bad, he took a 0.2 up to a 3.0 at semester because he wanted to pull this off. And the principal said, no, show me no Fs. He ended up with a 3.0 at the semester. He's never passed all 7 classes in his whole high school career. He's a junior this year. That 3rd R. What? It was SkillsUSA.
What did he test in?
He was competing in Quiz Bowl and open and closing ceremonies. We'll talk about the specific competitions in a little while. But he wasn't doing well in computer maintenance or internetworking, which are the classes he's had with me. But he wanted it, and the principal said, okay, you want it, prove it. And he proved it. So that stuff really goes on. And that's something that I really like about the organization. And we have that with any CTSO, but I'm only involved in SkillsUSA. I don't have the time for the others. We know this one. Employers are desperate. Employability skills, teamwork, communications, leadership. We know more than I don't have to, this is preaching to the choir with this group. We know about the labor shortage. We know that our students, if they have the skills, can make a lot more money than we can in education. This is where you'll go to let your students succeed, because this gives them those teamwork, those communication skills. I'm going to put that kid I just mentioned, I'm going to put in prepared speech next year. He doesn't know it yet. He's going to do great because I tell him to. I just don't give them choices because they make bad ones. You know that rule. But here, I mean, the 1965, and it changed to SkillsUSA VICA in '99, and by 2004, when I joined, it was just SkillsUSA. I guess I was in 2006 that I joined. I run one of the largest chapters in California, certainly the largest in the north, one of the largest in the North State in Region 4. Great kids, a lot of fun, and not that much more work than I was already doing, although my wife would disagree. Okay. World-class workers, responsible American citizens. That's what we're after. That's something to sell it to your admins if they're hesitant, because I know my admins, well, all of them long gone. We're kind of hesitant. Why would we want to support this? Even though it didn't cost them anything beyond a signature, why should they encourage the kids to do it? World-class workers, responsible American citizens sold it with one of them. One sold it with one, and the other argument sold it with the other. That were both giving me trouble. Integrity, responsibility, citizenship, service, and respect. These are things we want our kids to know, all the soft skills. This is what we look for. You saw the kids in there, all dressed up in their red jackets. And the only difference I have between that is that I didn't put my tie on this morning because I just didn't feel like it. My students would be really surprised that I didn't put the tie on today, because I usually do. I usually have a tie on. But it's all that responsibility stuff. And honestly, on a SkillsUSA trip, I've never had any trouble with the kids. Kids who, for other teachers, have caused trouble on field trips never do that with me because of this responsibility part. It's been really interesting to see. SkillsUSA is not just computers, and in fact, you probably have a chapter. Your welding, your auto, your other industrial, wood shop would all fit under this umbrella. There are quite a few health careers that fit under the umbrella. There's even cooking and culinary arts that fits within the SkillsUSA umbrella. A total of 128 disciplines. And we ran 99 contests at our state conference in April. So it's not a small organization, but that's an advantage to you, because if you've got a SkillsUSA chapter on your campus, you can just join with them, and they've done all the work. So you can just take all the credit. I'm a big fan of that, although I end up on the other way usually. Yeah?
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Please.
This is just particularly for high schools, right?
It is both for high schools and for post-secondary. There is some middle school. The contests are limited at the middle school, but we're making some outreach into middle schools. So we do have middle school, and I'll refer you to Clay Mitchell, the state director, and I've got his contact information later on here, and if I don't, I'll give it to you because I've got it in my phone, because we are making an outreach to middle school, but I don't know the answer to that question. I'm a high school teacher, and then I know it for post-sec, but I truly just don't know the answer. But I'll give you the right people to ask. More than 300,000 members. It's actually almost 400,000 now. All 50 states, DC, and 3 territories. It was interesting, the Guamanians who came to nationals 2 years ago traveled 24 hours in the air, and to delays, because they also had another layover in LA they weren't expecting. 24 hours to get to Kansas City. It can be quite a trip. Leadership, citizenship, character development, lots of development of the student as a person. And here you go. You know, teamwork, problem solving, communication, creative thinking. That's what employers want. That's what SkillsUSA will help you teach the kids. Professional development, and I have actually some of the professional development stuff here with the PDP, the Professional Development Program. You're welcome to look at these and actually take them. I also have the Leverage series, which is leadership development training for kids. Again, all this stuff is provided, so if you need to take it with you. But professional development training. And revised, I know that the PDP books are undergoing revision now, so we'll see a new version out because they're 5 years old. They're showing their age just a little bit. So professional development, employability skills are huge. Competitions, and we'll get more to competitions a little later, because a lot of chapters, that's all they do until they realize all the other stuff. And I started out my first 2 years, we were just competitions. And then I looked into the leadership and shoved a kid in a job interview, and another year into extemp speech. And now I ran more than half of the OC teams, opening and closing ceremonies teams in California belong to me, because it's just a fun event for me. There are scholarships available. You have industry contacts, and this will put you in touch with even more. Job opportunities for the kids. And then they get to go places. We're in San Diego for our state conference every year. Some of my students have never left Yolo County. I still have trouble understanding that. It's been a while, but I had a kid once who had never left the city limits. I don't understand that. We're not a big town, and never gone to Sacramento. What, we're going to the big city? This must be LA. No, this is downtown Sacramento. See that building? That's the Capitol. Wow, are we in Washington? No, wrong capital. But the kids just don't get, oh, it's a domed building, so it must be the national capital. And they've never gone very far. And here, I take them to San Diego every year. And I take some of them to Kansas City. Actually, we'll move to Louisville. We'll talk about that in a little bit. A lot of that is student fundraising. And what I've discovered is if I drive, I can get it down to about $150 a kid, plus registration. Actually, this year I got it even lower than that. And I usually can find somebody to fund part of the registration. So they do fundraisers. And if you can get the kid to raise $25 a month, starting in September, they'll have paid for state conference by April. I went to Rotary once. They gave us $1,000, and one of the guys walked up afterwards and handed me a $100 bill. Buy the kids pizza when you're in Kansas City. So I bought the kids pizza when we were in Kansas City because somebody gave me $100, just a $100 bill. I don't know who he was, or I would have sent him a thank you note. Never.
These events are all like inclusive from anybody under the SkillsUSA.
Yes, under the SkillsUSA umbrella, this is what it provides for you.
So there's no such thing as like, because you were mentioning competition, so
Mm-hmm.
this isn't like, say, Cyberfacial where they have to qualify for events.
Yes and no. There's different levels of events that qualify you. If you want to compete at state conference, you need to have competed at regional competition. There is no prerequisite to regionals, but at regionals you have to have earned your berth at state conference and that's to compete, because there's non-competitive things you can go to at state conference also. You could be a courtesy corps member, for instance, where you serve the conference itself. At nationals, you have to have been a gold or, in some cases, silver at the state level in your contest area to be given a competition berth at nationals. But again, you have courtesy corps at nationals, and you also have delegates sessions at nationals. And it's a really interesting conference to go to. It's just bigger than you can imagine. You've got 15,000 kids in red jackets. Yeah.
Do you know if at the community college level, you have to establish a club, or how does it work?
Okay. From community college level, from the SkillsUSA side, you're a chapter. How you charter that with your particular college is up to your local rules. But what is it? American River College has the only post-sec chapter I really ever work with, just because of proximity. And they are a chartered club within the school. And I think they even get some money from their ASB for it, but it's not a lot of money. I know your name because your Rio Hondo is. Do you have auto maintenance, the repair, collision repair? Yeah, your collision repairs guys sweep every year. Talk to them. They've already done the work. Yeah, I mean, they've already done the work. Just join with them. That's a great example. Yeah, show up for the pizza. It is a good time. You have a good time with the kids, and you're only taking the kids you want to be with, because the kids who you really can't stand probably can't stand you, and so they're not going to ask to go anyway. But you wouldn't take them anyhow because you weed them out like we always do. There are social outlets for the kids with their peers, but also for us. I just saw another advisor in the hall who I spent a couple of hours with at dinner once at Nationals. She's from, where was she from? San Luis Obispo. I only see her at Cisco Networking Academy events and at SkillsUSA events. And that's really the way it is. It's social for us too, and community building for us as instructors, because very often we're the only ones around. That's why Rio Hondo is going to be a good fit for you, because they're already there and they've got 2 or 3 advisors. An opportunity to be the best. It really is true. Okay. It will enhance your program. It has significantly enhanced mine. Because I did an okay program before, I do a much better program now. It provides a lot of structure for the things I did poorly or just needed some improvement on. It really has helped me as a teacher. it's going to set the kids apart. They're going to look at life differently, and not just in your classes. And I told you about that kid who passed because he wanted to go to state conference. And they'll look at themselves differently. Their parents look at them differently too, which is nice. They are going to work harder, and they're going to be ready to work harder, and they're going to want to work harder because they see that there's something out there that's bigger than them. We're from a small town. There's only 65,000 people in town. We don't even have 10,000 kids in the district, and we send our buses 50 miles each way. This provides them, oh, this is bigger than me. And that's one thing I love about it. They have to work together, and after 5 nights together, or six nights, you fly in Monday and you fly out Saturday at Nationals. By Thursday, the kids are sick of each other. They have to learn to work well together anyway because they're not done with their stuff. And you just push through that. That's a challenge. But that's a challenge whenever you've got a group of people working together, and this is a way of helping them work through it. Conflict resolution. I really should pay attention to my slides before I start talking. Head Start. The kids are going to meet a lot of other people. They're going to meet a lot of kids. They're going to meet a lot of adults. They're going to meet a lot of industry partners. The combination, this gives them a head start. I have a student right now who's interning with State Farm Insurance because he met someone in Kansas City 2 years ago who happened to be a regional rep in California. They kept in touch, and he's going to be a junior at UC Santa Cruz this fall, and he's got his summer internship with a local regional office type thing of State Farm Insurance, doing the kind of stuff he competed in computer maintenance, but all because of the connection he made then. That's an unusual one. State Farm is not one you think of. They're actually a major national sponsor of a lot of instructor training. But it gives them a heads up. Work with business, work with industry, work directly with them. Leadership. Put them in leadership events. My students run my meetings. I don't run the chapter meetings anymore. They've got 100 students in front of them. They've got to be able to run that meeting themselves. I'll guide them through it. I'll meet with them beforehand. I'll debrief with them afterwards. We actually meet every week with my officer team. They run it. And in the middle of it, while I will step in if there's a fist fight or something, short of that, I'm not going to step in. And we had our election, and one of the boys was running it, and I tried to step in. He said, no, I've got this. It was a lot smoother his way than it would have been mine. It was great. Leadership development. He got a college scholarship as a result because his college really liked his essay. Somewhere in Oregon. Leadership programs in practice will serve the community. We didn't do it this year, but the last 3 years running, we've actually served an event for the local Ag History Museum. They have some fundraising dinner for important people in their world, and my students go and wait tables and empty trash and take care of a lot of things. One of the local farmers had his 80th birthday party last year. My students were asked to come and serve that. The mayor, all of the supervisors were there, and most of the city council, and the deputy ag commissioner of the USDA was there, because this guy owns like 1 million acres in the county, and these kids get experience with them. And the kids, you'll run it and design it, but the kids really end up designing. I want to do this. I have a quiz bowl team because the kids want to have a quiz bowl team, not because I want it. I really enjoy opening and closing ceremonies. Quiz bowls is all right. I want this, and they go with it. And last year's team took silver at state as a result. Partnerships with all sorts of companies. At the national level, over 1,000 companies have sponsored something for the whole nation. I mentioned State Farm. The Networking Academy is part of that. Most of you know Bob Shaner, and some of you went to his session yesterday where he's actually in Kansas City setting up, and he came via video conference here but he got me involved. He actually runs global competitions. He's the global competitions lead. And the networking, all the kids who win are Networking Academy students. Hands down. They just do a great job. But the Networking Academy actually sponsors the events. Partnerships, we got to have partnerships. This will help you open up the doors. And you know, once a company knows about SkillsUSA, they're going to see that on a resume from the kids. And, oh, we're in SkillsUSA. Tell me about that experience. It'll give the kids a leg up. Program of work. For Perkins money at the secondary level, we have to have a CTSO. You have to have an active CTSO that has a program of work. You don't have a choice because when Perkins 7 comes out, it's going to be mandated. Right now, there's an or other leadership opportunities. In Perkins 7, when it comes out, or 8, because I can't remember which one we're in, the or goes away. CTSO, leadership opportunity. But it's part of this program of work, professional development of the students. I mentioned the PDP. At the post-sec level, it's the CSEP, Career Skills Education Program. I wish I could help you with Rio Hondo and tell you what CSEP is all about, and I don't know. I'm high school. I have a good excuse there. Community service, the kids serve each other and serve their community and work as a team. A lot of folks recognize the red jackets around town. And so when I throw a group of kids in red jackets and take them somewhere, oh yeah, I know who you are because of the community service we've done. Social, we do want them to have some social life because they want to be part of a team. A lot of these kids don't belong. And at least a lot of mine are misfits, and I'm the only place that they fit in. Some of you probably have the cool kids. I don't get them. Well, not all of them. They're cool in their own way. Ways and means is fundraising. So letting them do fundraising and helping them learn what fundraising really means and keeping track of expenses, all that's ways and means. PR, my weakest single suit is PR. I will be the first to say I'm really bad at it unless I'm worse. On my best days, I'm just really bad at PR. But let the public know. I go in front of my board every year or every year and a half and show off my students. I put a group of kids in red jackets and we show off something. Yeah? SkillsUSA. Yeah. I've got a windbreaker on. This is what you would call, if I put the black tie on, this is called official dress. The black pant, the white dress shirt, the red jacket, the black necktie. My first group bought their own, and then ever since I've scrounged money here, there, and the other place, so I have a stockpile now. The question is about officers, because I'm recording, so I want to make sure I repeat the question. How do you do officers? It depends. I do chapter-wide officers that are elected. We actually elect in the spring for the following year. Others do it inside each individual class, and each class period or each type of class or each year would have their own officer set. It's really up to you. How you set up is a local decision. I do it as the whole chapter because it's less work for me. And it gets more kids to know who they are. But I've also done it the other way, or I used to do it the other way, where this class gets their own officers, and that class gets their own officers, and that class gets their own officers, and then I have to bring all those officers together. I found that cumbersome for me personally. But if you want to do it that way, if that works in your world, go for it. Because all those models are acceptable. But I also meet with my entire chapter every month. I actually have reserved the cafeteria third Thursday of the month, the rest, all of next year. Come by if you're in town. I'm only half joking. Okay, so public relations, employment. I had a student who was offered an internship because they met him at 3 or 4 of these events. Here, come see me. I want to have you come in an intern with me. And so you have that, but it's more that the kids are more aware of what's out there, and they get out of their little world. Because so often our kids live in their little world, and they never leave. And of course, the championships. I like this second bullet here. It is the greatest commitment to corporate volunteerism on a single day anywhere in the United States. It's the, I want to say Wednesday of SkillsUSA State Conference, which is the major competition day, or SkillsUSA Nationals rather. They have over 10 million hours donated that day. 10 million man hours. My first time in Kansas City, which was in my 2nd or 3rd year as an advisor, something like that, they told us that our commercial airliner had to take a slightly different path because there were so many corporate jets on the tarmac that they had to take us around. They actually have the corporate jets sent out to the regional airports as far away as St. Louis because they just don't have the tarmac space to store them. I met, the second time I went, which is now 2 years ago, I met the vice president of recruiting for Home Depot. The vice president in charge of all of their corporate recruiting comes to nationals and provides thousands of employees and I think $10 million to help run the conference. It's huge by every measure. There are local, regional, and state competitions. I host my own local. That's fairly unusual, but I do it because my program's large enough that I kind of need to do it. I used to take all of my kids to regionals. It just became cumbersome. Most states, do I have everybody in California, or are you from other states as well? Okay, I guess I've just got California. California operates on a regional, state, national model. There are 6 regions in California. Region 3 is LA County only. The other region, yeah, that's right. The other regions are scattered. I'm in Region 4, which is roughly Lodi to the Oregon border, and the coastal range east. We're actually not the smallest region. Region 1, which is Marin County north, is actually the smallest. It's the largest region by area, but the smallest by number of schools because nobody lives up there. That's Humboldt. It would be up there, and we're working on them. But these, you'll have a regional competition. Ours are at American River College in Sacramento, and that's in late January or early February. And then you can go on to state conference, which is usually in April. It's the week after Easter, traditionally, Thursday through Sunday. And then Nationals is always the last full week of June. And it's been in Kansas City for the last 20 years. They're moving to Louisville, Kentucky as of next year because we outgrew Kansas City. There's not enough hotel space. California's delegation is actually going to be in a hotel 30 minutes drive from downtown Kansas City. And that's 30 minutes if there's no traffic. I can just imagine what they're going to face because the buses are not air conditioned. But it's a long way out, and that's because there's just not enough hotel space. Last time I went, we were all the way in Independence. So it's a good 15 or 20-minute drive in. I rented a car this time, and we had air conditioning. That was nice. There's your medal. I actually took this as a silver medal. One of my students took silver at state conference this year, and I happen to have this picture. Let's talk about some of the specific competitions that relate directly to us, and Bob Shaner reminded me of these because I'd missed a couple of them. So kudos to him for reminding. Career Pathway Showcase, I like to describe as being a combination or a hybrid of a science fair exhibit and a county fair exhibit. And with a little bit of work, you'd even take these to the state fair. That's what these are. I have no idea where these boys are from. But they had built this bridge, they designed this really cool bridge because right outside their high school is a major highway, and to get across it has been very dangerous. So they designed this bridge, and they're actually going to try and sell it to their city to put in. It's part of their career pathway. They have an engineering and an architecture student working together on it. We'd be CPS Showcase in information technology, but they have them in all 15 industry sectors. 16, 15, whatever the federal one is. So they'll have this the Career Path Showcase. I actually had a couple at regionals that chose not to move on, and they built computer networks on their display boards. It was actually really well done. Internetworking is based on the CCNA qualifications. Bob and I need to talk, but he's never around, and when he's around, I'm not. He travels all the time. You see this picture from my local competition where this kid's making cable, but it's what we teach in CCNA. Now that with the new curriculum, I really think we need to split it into one for CCENT and one for CCNA, but I haven't had time to talk to Bob about that. You see changes periodically. There's Bob's email address actually right up there. And for each contest, you will have a description of the contest and all the rules and all the score sheets, so you know what the kids will see. So internetworking. Computer maintenance technology is, I used to say it was based on the A+ competencies, and CompTIA still gives the kids the A+ exam. Actually, at nationals, they take the actual A+ exam and can certify. But it's more than that now. PowerShell, quite a bit of networking. My students who do well in this have taken IT Essentials and have taken some, at least the first level of networking. Yeah? At nationals, CompTIA gives them the exam at no cost, and they certify at no student cost. But you have to have made it to nationals first, which means you're in the top, you are the top student in your state. There are only 50 competitors in the contest at nationals. Yeah, it's really something. And my student came out of there 2 years ago just exhausted. It took him 5 hours, because instead of taking an exam, waiting a week and taking the second like they do for regular sane human beings, they take them back to back with a 5-minute break. For A+, and I'm going to refer you to this document, and if you email me, I'll send you a link to it. The contest standards, it's A+, and then it's other stuff, PowerShell and networking. But they keep adding to it because this is what an employer is actually wanting in an entry-level employee. And I talked to the national coordinator just in April when he was out, and while I did, and he understood my complaint, he said they need more than just what A+ can give them if they really want a job. And that's his end of it, because he employs these people. So that's computer maintenance technology, computer programming. Oh, and that's again one of my students with his setup at our local competition. That's in our cafeteria at school. I fill the whole thing. Computer programming. I don't teach this because I don't teach programming, but it is what it says it is. You're given a problem to solve, and you program to solve that problem. Jan, what's Jan's last name? Jan from San Luis Obispo actually has competitors in this, so you can chat with her at lunch if you want. Her students do extremely well in that. Technical computer apps is more your office skills. But it's more than just, oh yeah, I can make a Word document. It is installation and use of your Office suite, but there's also quite a bit of database in it. There's quite a bit of power work in Outlook. So you have to know it, but this is from a user standpoint. So those who might teach something like the MOS certification, Microsoft Office Specialist, this would fit right in there. I don't know, because I haven't sent any kids to this contest, I don't know if this is actually written to the MOS spec, because I didn't have time to read it. But Bob reminded me that TCA exists, and in California, I don't think we had a competitor this year. And then leadership. I shove lots of kids into leadership events, whether they like it or not. One kid discovered that he's horrible at prepared speech, but he absolutely loved extemp speech. He hated speaking. He didn't want to even speak to me until I signed him up for the contest. And he said, "Fine, Mr. B, I'll do it." And there he got, he actually medaled at regional and took I want to say bronze at state. But job interviews, one of the larger ones nationally and certainly locally, or in California, it's one of the larger ones. A lot of kids, it is a job interview. It's a mock interview. OC, opening and closing ceremonies, and you see a picture of that. Every meeting starts and ends the same way. This is everything that's there minus the meeting in the middle, opening and closing. If you've ever seen opening and closing for FFA or one of the other CTSOs, it's very similar. They memorize a script. They have to stand a certain way. There's a lot of precision in it. I actually have a team I'm real excited for. They were freshman girls this last year. They're going to take me to nationals, and if they stay on target the way they're doing now, they'll take me to national medalists. They are that level. And they're just driven. They were really upset that they didn't take gold at regionals, and that's only because they got dinged because one of the girls got sick at the last minute, and they're already practicing. They're going to practice all summer. Quiz Bowl is another team event. OC is 7 members. Quiz Bowl is 5 members. It's like Family Feud. That's the only way to describe it. Prepared speech, extemp speech, and there's all sorts of other competitions too. 20-second elevator speech. There's lots of them.
Now, do you need different students for each event?
There's a lot of overlap. A student can compete in up to 2 events. Used to, as of, they just told us they're changing this, but used to 3 events at regionals, 2 at state, 1 at nationals. Now it'll be 2, 2, and 1. So 2 events, 1 professional, 1 skill, or 2 professional. You can only do 1 skill regardless at regionals, and then at state you have 1 and 1. You have up to 2 total, 1 skill, 1 professional, or 2 professional. These are professional. And then at nationals you can only compete in 1. So a lot of overlap. As a team event, though, I'll fill you in. We can sub members in, because if you have an OC team, I had a member who couldn't go. I had a member from one of my other OC teams who wanted to go, but the rest of the team wasn't going. I just substituted. You can make that substitution, and they're cool with it. I even did that to nationals once, the one time I took a team to nationals. As of 2015, we'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. It is the last full week of June. One year that threw me to the 30th of June when I flew home, and my district wanted all my paperwork on the 27th. And so they emailed me, and I emailed back, "I'm in Kansas City until the 30th. Some districts don't get it, because I had already told them that. There have been more than 6,000 winners at the state conference go and compete in 99 contests at the national level. It's 120 at the state level. There are some contests that don't go on, like 20-second elevator. These state winners are the best in their state in that particular competition area. And there, as I said, 15,000 total, because the other kids are doing other things. A delegate can't be a competitor because they meet at the same time. You need 10 or 15 delegates from each state. So there's a lot of kids involved, and it's a really neat event. And there's a lot of professional development for you as well. So while you're there, you don't just have to wander around while the kids are doing something. You have classes you can go to, or you can, if you have time, go to the big Cabela's in Kansas. Over 700,000 square feet of space. The big Bartle Hall in the Kansas City Convention Center is the size of 8 football fields and has no columns, because it's all of the ceiling support is from the top. It looks like a suspension bridge type system. We've actually outgrown it, is why we're moving. and more than 2,000 technical experts will help, many of them staying the entire week. So they take a week out of their work lives to come and run this. And Bob Shaner, I think, is going to be 10 or 12 days in Kansas City. In the classroom, you have classroom activities. I use my professional development in the classroom. You have lots of other activities, and you can partner with other chapters to help with that. You can go to state conference, you go to national conference, you can be a competitor, you can be a delegate, you can be courtesy corps, lots of opportunities for the kids to get involved. I would have brought kids today, but they're all in Kansas City. The ones from down here who would be involved actually have been in Kansas City since yesterday. I tried to get them, and the ones that really are there, the ones that were going to be around, oh yeah, I'd love to do that, but I'll be in Kansas City. It's interesting because your best kids are going for the pre-conference sessions. But the confidence here, I had one kid a few years ago who's Aspie, wouldn't speak 2 words to anybody, took silver in extemp speech. Wouldn't say 2 words, but it gave him the confidence to go on. It's really a neat thing. How do you get started? Because now I've got you hooked, hopefully. I've got membership materials here. And then you email Mr. Mitchell, and I'll give you his information in a second, at the state office, and you're done. It's really easy to get started. I started with an email to Dara Dubois, who was then the state director, and she sent me to the website. I registered, and the rest is history. There are fees, but to get yourself started, to get the paperwork rolling, there's not a fee. It's $15 per student or adult per year, might be $18 for adults. And if you have over a certain number, you would go with what's called total participation, which gives you discounts. And I do that because I sign up all my students. Because I sign up all of my students, I can pay for it out of Perkins because it's a curricular expense. But if you don't want to do that, or you want to start small, and I started small. I started with 8 students. And I'm at 196 now. So you don't have to go as big as me. But if you're starting small, it's $15 a kid, roughly. And that'll cover your fees, or that'll cover your next year. Those aren't due until, I want to say, October 30th. And then your deadline for signing up for regionals is the Friday before Thanksgiving, which I've gone back and forth with the state office, and Clay knows my opinion on this, that's way too early, because it's almost 12 weeks early before our regionals, but that's their need. They have some need on their end to have it that early. But then regionals will be in January and February, state conferences in April. Last year it was $13 to take a kid to regionals and $150 for state. And then in the case of state conference, you have 3 nights in a hotel on top of that. They negotiate what's really a pretty decent rate. I don't know if I answered your question at all now that you, sort of? Okay. For today, no, there's not any fee. The fees would come in September, October.
So the fees aren't so much like registering for this program, but it's more per kid.
Yes and no. It's not as confusing as I'm making it, I promise. You have registration fees to nationals to say this child is a member of SkillsUSA. Then to send them to regionals or to state conference, that child must register for that contest also. And those fees cover food and at state conference t-shirts, that kind of thing. It's not cheap to run an organization like this.
Well, let's just say regional.
Yeah, it'll be roughly $15 to register each student to be a member of SkillsUSA. And then about $15 to take them to regional competition. About $30 to get them there, yeah. It's the registration fee is paid to nationals, but part of it comes back to the state. It gets confusing. The regional competition actually goes to the region to run the competition and feed the kids. How do you make sure you don't miss the due dates? My only advice is watch really closely to your emails from Clay Mitchell, because I've never missed the due dates, but I was real close one year. I also pay really, really close attention to what he sends out. And you just have to know what they're going to be. To register for regionals, that deadline is the Friday before Thanksgiving. To register for state conference, I want to say it's the third Friday in March, but I might be wrong. So certain things fall within the calendar, and you just have to watch the emails. The state website is pretty good, SkillsUSACA.org. I've got that later. Actually, that might be my next slide. There it is. The state website has all this stuff. They actually have a link now. I can flow that stuff into my Outlook calendar. But you're right. Deadlines are a problem. And it's not you. It's across the board. This year they've said, or as of last year, they said they're not going to extend the deadlines for people who are clueless. Because that's really what it was. The same people were clueless every year, and it was driving the state office crazy. Oh, we'll have to re-up. I don't have another way of phrasing it. I know that doesn't sound real polite. But just because you're clueless doesn't mean that we're going to fix things for you. But the other advisors are here. I mean, you've got my contact information, or you will if you see me. I'll give you my card. And give me a call. We'll hop onto a Google Hangout, or we'll hop onto a Skype call or whatever, and I'll help walk you through it if you're having trouble. There's a teacher in West Sac. She calls me every time before the deadlines. Here's my password. Can you look to make sure I did it right? Half the time I don't even look because I know she's done it right. The first couple of times I drove out to West Sac once. She came to, actually twice. She came to see me once. She knows this stuff. She's just a little insecure about making sure it's done right the first time, and it always is. Okay. Okay. There haven't been a lot of messages lately, so I'm going to start with that. I get a yearly or a monthly message from Tim Lawrence, the national director. But I didn't get one June, or did I get one June 1st? I don't think I got one in June because he's too busy planning for Kansas City. He's actually been in Kansas City for over a week. The man travels all the time. But if you're curious, call Clay. He works for the Department of Ed, and hence the cde.ca.gov domain. He works for the Department of Ed. He'll make sure all the paperwork's done properly so you're getting all the emails you need to. You just may not be in his system yet. He hasn't sent an email since mid-May. He's actually back there now too. But shoot him an email. There are a lot of automated systems. But there's a lot of human beings working this too, and there's not actually, I say there's a lot of human beings, but the reality is that at the national office, there's 12 people who work full-time for SkillsUSA. And they run a conference of 15,000 people, along with doing all sorts of other stuff for the organization. From what I'm told, because I talked with one of the people there a couple of years ago, they had some big company came in and, yeah, we're going to sponsor you, and they figured for a conference this size they would have 150 employees full-time year-round to run it, and a lot of it's volunteer. So call Clay to make sure you're on his email list, and he'll double-check to make sure there's no glitches. But that would be my advice, and that's my advice for all of you. Bug Clay. It's all his fault anyway that we're here, right? Now, this is my last slide, because my other slides in this deck are all the other states who are represented here and their state director contact information. How did I do time-wise? Oh, not bad. Yeah.
Do you have any statistics on college level? Is there any issue with, I mean, it seems like if students start in high school, progressive in chapters, probably in their mindset. But people coming in college the first time have not really enjoyed it.
That's an interesting question. First off, I don't have any statistics about retention of students who were SkillsUSA in high school and chose to be SkillsUSA in college. I have no idea. It's an interesting question. I wish I knew. I can answer a couple of other things. A lot of the kids coming into college programs who I know are non-traditional students. We had a national officer a few years ago who was in his 50s. His kids actually were student members at secondary when he's post-secondary president or vice president. He'd come back after injuring himself and getting laid off as a result, and going back to school and becoming part of that under his retraining. Really impressive story. His kids didn't do near as well in competition as he did. But that's because he was so much older. So you have a lot of non-traditional, but among the traditional students, a lot of them didn't have SkillsUSA at their high schools. Or a problem I have is that the colleges don't have SkillsUSA, and so they don't rejoin. For instance, neither Cal Poly has a chapter. That doesn't make sense, since this would fit with so many things they do, and they could just dominate, but they don't. And so my kids at Cal Poly SLO, because for some reason I don't send them here, at SLO, they don't have that opportunity. There is an interesting thing, though. Kids are given one more year of eligibility after they leave high school. Actually, technically after they leave a program. And the intent is that my students who've gone to college come back and can compete with my teams, but on a post-secondary basis, for that first year, so that they can get a chapter started at their college. That's the intent, and I've had some success with that, or at least with them coming back and competing with me, but then it's hard. For whatever reason, it's hard to get a chapter started and continuing at a college level. I don't know why.
It helps them train.
Yeah, that's the intent, is that the older kids will train the younger kids. And because you've got this kid who's been involved in high school, they take that training on to the college level, start a chapter there that they then can train another group of students. That's the intent, but I really don't have statistics. They might not exist, but the national office knows everything.
So that would be the personnel contact for middle school?
Yeah, Clay has all your information for middle school. Where are you located?
Koreatown, the RFK company.
Okay, that doesn't help me. City?
Oh, Los Angeles.
Greater Los Angeles. You're in Region 3 is all I can tell you, because I don't even know who's your regional coordinator. Each of the 6 regions in California has a regional coordinator who will come out to you to help. And that's the other thing. You'll talk to your Region 1 coordinator who are in Petaluma, Petaluma High School. No, wait, you're in Region 2 though, aren't you? Yeah. I have no idea who your RCs are, just because I happen to not know. But yeah, again, if you go to the SkillsUSA California website, all that information's there, or just call Clay or email Clay. He's pretty good. Yeah, call him directly. Any other questions? Help yourself to materials. I've got these, be a champion with SkillsUSA, and then why SkillsUSA. This one sold a lot of my admins on it, so grab these. It's over here. Grab these. Champions Magazine comes with your registration, PDP, all sorts of other stuff. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Here, let me give you my card in case you need it.
Yeah, hopefully I can start, because it seems like it'll overlap perfectly with our Cyber Patriot program.
Oh, it is ideal for Cyber Patriot and Cisco, if it's right in. If it's right in.
Plus, we do have a leadership class at our site, so this will also help with that.
Mhm.
There's a leadership category.
This is exactly it.